everyone, welcome to a new episode of Bilmasri. أهلا بيكم في حلقة جديدة من بالمصري. النهارده هنقرأ نص عن يناير النباتي. Can you guess what today's text will be about? نبات is plant. نباتي would be something that is plant-based. Listen to the text carefully. I will read it out in Masri as usual, and you can compare it on bilmasri.com with the Fusha version, and there you'll also find a brief overview of the language issue that we will look at later. When you listen to the text today, listen out to small particles that are da, di, and dol. Da, di, dol. Listen out for them and try to figure out what they mean. So, let's get started. ناشطين حقوقيين أعلنوا إن مئات الآلاف من الأشخاص هيتخلوا عن أكل اللحوم ويبقوا نباتيين أو فيجن في يناير أول شهر في السنة، وإن قرارهم ده ممكن يستمر طول السنة. وفي دراسة جديدة تمت بالتعاون مع حملة فيجانيوري اللي بتهدف لتشجيع الناس على التحول لنباتيين في بداية السنة. الدراسة دي بيّنت إن أكتر من 800 ألف شخص بطلوا ياكلوا المنتجات الحيوانية لأول مرة سنة 2019. الدراسة قالت إن كتير من الناس دول بيستمروا في إنهم ما ياكلوش اللحوم حتى بعد آخر شهر يناير، وناس تانية بترجع تاني تاكل منتجات حيوانية لكن بكميات أقل لغاية شهر يوليو أو أكتر. الدراسة بتتوقع إن الحملة السنة دي تكون أوسع من السنة اللي فاتت، مع التزام 300 ألف شخص لغاية دلوقتي بإنهم يبطلوا أكل اللحوم. والأخبار دي جاية في الوقت اللي نزلت فيها مبيعات اللحوم الحمراء بشكل جامد، والسبب في كده بيرجع جزئياً لمخاوف صحية واعتراضات تانية على اللحوم الحمراء زي ارتفاع أسعارها. تراجع المبيعات شمل كل أنواع اللحوم من لحم البقر للحم الخنزير المتصنع زي السجق. So that was today's text. And before we look at the language issue, I'd like you to think of 3 words that I mentioned today. The first was النهارده. That was not in today's text, but I sneakily put it in my introduction. I said النهارده هنقرأ نص عن يناير النباتي. And then we also had the word دلوقتي and the word كده. What do you think these 3 words have in common? النهارده, دلوقتي, كده. Is it that they all have the letter دال? Maybe. That doesn't sound very interesting, but listen on and we will come back to them later. The point that I want to talk to you about today is the demonstrative pronouns. How do we say this and that in Egyptian? So in Fusha, you would have learned several words to express this and that. So we have feminine and masculine forms, and singular, dual, and plural. In Masri, we only have the 3 words, da, di, and dol. They are the ones I mentioned at the start of the lesson. Da is used with the singular masculine, so الولد ده, الراجل ده, الراجل ده طويل جدا, الراجل ده طويل جدا. دي is used with the feminine singular, so البنت دي, البنت دي جميلة, البنت دي جميلة. And دي is also used for the plural, which is non-human, so we say البيوت دي, البيوت دي, these houses. And then we have دول, which is used for the plural. So we say الولاد دول, these boys, الولاد دول. We also say البنات دول. So دول is used for feminine and for masculine. Sometimes you hear people say دي for human plural as well. So you'll hear them say الناس دي, الناس دي بتعمل إيه? What are these people doing? So really we should maybe say الناس دول, but it's quite acceptable to say الناس دي. Now, what you will have noticed is that in Masri, the position of the demonstrative pronoun comes after the noun. So in Fusha, you have the option. Usually it's before the noun, so we usually say هذا الكتاب but it's also acceptable to say الكتاب هذا. And if you have an إضافة construction, then you always put the demonstrative pronoun after that. So we say كتاب الولد هذا, كتاب البنت هذا, not هذا كتاب البنت, because that changes the meaning. In Egyptian Arabic, we always put it after the noun. Let's look at examples from today's text. So we had in the first paragraph, قرارهم ده ممكن يستمر. قرارهم ده. This decision of theirs. قرارهم ده. Second paragraph, الدراسة دي بينت. This study revealed الدراسة دي بينت. The next paragraph, we have الناس دول. These people, الناس دول بيستمروا. Then we had the following paragraph, الدراسة بتتوقع إن الحملة السنة دي تكون أوسع. So we have again السنة, feminine singular, followed by دي. But you will have noticed that when I pronounce it, I didn't say السنة دي, but I said السنة دي. And this happens sometimes with nouns ending in ta marbuta. Usually it's because it's a very common expression and also the word is quite short. السنة دي. This year, المرة دي. This time we say المرة دي, not المرة دي. But with other verbs with ta marbuta, we do not extend the ta marbuta. So we say المدرسة دي, not المدرسة دي. القصة دي, this story, القصة دي, not القصة دي. So even though قصة is a short word, but it's not what we normally do. Okay, I asked you earlier about 3 words that I said today. النهارده, دلوقتي, وكده. And what do you think these words have in common? And what they have in common is that they have a demonstrative pronoun embedded in them. So let's look at the first one. النهارده. النهارده, I said, النهارده هنقرأ نص عن يناير النباتي. So how do you think النهارده came about as a word? اليوم, of course, is the word for today in فصحى. النهار ده. النهار ده. What does نهار mean? نهار is daytime. النهار هذا means this daytime. And then it took on the meaning of the word today in Egyptian Arabic. بتعمل إيه النهارده? What are you doing today? النهارده يوم الحد. Today is Sunday. النهارده يوم الحد. I'll look at the third word first. The third word is كده. كده. And it's easy to guess where كده came from. So da again means this, that. And ka means like. Like this. In Fusha we have هكذا or just كذا. Like this became كده. If you're in a restaurant and you order a cup of tea, for example, you say to the waiter, لو سمحت أنا عايز كوباية شاي. Then the waiter may answer, بس كده? بس كده? Is that all? بس كده? Only like this. بس means only, and that is a very Egyptian word that we will probably come to some other time. And finally, دلوقتي. This is a bit less straightforward than the other two. دلوقتي. دلوقتي. Maybe if you look at how it's written, دلوقت, دلوقت, you can see the word وقت in there. الوقت, the time. ده الوقت. This time means now. دلوقت, هذا الوقت, دلوقتي. And most Egyptians will put this t in the end, this kasra in the end, and that's probably because it just makes it easy to pronounce rather than say دلوقت and then you have the hamza, sukun, ta, and it just makes it easier. بتعمل إيه دلوقتي? What are you doing now? أنا جاية دلوقتي. I'm coming now. The final thing to say about demonstrative pronouns is that they can stand alone. So just like in English we say, this is strange, or that is Tom. We can also say the same in Arabic. So we can say, دي أخبار جميلة. دي أخبار جميلة. These are great news. دي. Or مين ده? مين ده? Who is this? ده Tom. Okay, and that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. So please remember to subscribe to the podcast and leave any comment you have on this podcast under the relevant blog post on bilmasri.com. And I'll see you next time.